Come and get it, you undead sack of sh. Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are looking at the NECA Cult Classics Wave 3 Bubba Ho-Tep figure. And damn, I feel like I'm going so far back in action figure past here, it's as old as the Mummy himself. Well, not really, but this was pretty early on for NECA with their horror figures, so we're definitely going quite a bit back in the past here to look at this guy. But I am a huge fan of Bubba Ho-Tep. Appropriately, a movie that definitely is a cult classic. Not incredibly well known, but done by the director of Phantasm and starring Bruce Campbell as Elvis. And as soon as I saw the movie, I knew that this action figure existed, and I knew I had to go track him down for my own collection. Now, unfortunately, I never picked up the Elvis Sebastian Haff figure that kind of complements this one, so we're just gonna have to review the Mummy on his own. First up, we have his display base, which is very nicely done. It's just kind of a muddy Texas creek bed. We got a boulder here. We got the two pegs for his feet with some indentations in the mud for his boots. This kind of rubberized section of the reed sticking up. And then we have the license plate off the bus that was carrying the Mummy. So that's really a very nice display base, very appropriate for the character. And if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I think the Sebastian Haff base actually interconnected with this one, so you could have a full-on display of the two characters together, which is really neat. Of course, the character just pegs right into that base. You definitely want this base to make him stand, since it is a very kind of awkwardly posed character, but he stands on it very easily, and the base isn't overly large, so it doesn't take up a whole lot of shelf space, which is great. As for the figure itself, NECA back in this line, I was not as much of a fan of them as I was Mezco because NECA lacked the articulation, but they always had some great detail. And this figure is no exception. He is beautifully sculpted. There's very deep lines and wrinkles in his head, making him look all desiccated. His eyes are wonderfully done. Just very expressive looking for such a dead character. He's got his teeth sticking out there, the bone kind of protruding through his chin. You have his hat, which has a soft rubbery brim to it. Actually, the whole hat is kind of a soft rubber. Very nicely done. Very kind of Texas looking. It's got the feathers sticking out to the side. If you haven't seen the movie, basically this character was an ancient pharaoh that was on tour, and I don't even remember what resurrected him, but he basically ended up in Texas and just kind of adopted Texas clothing to suit him. He's got this long stringy hair coming off the back, which looks really good. The hair is rubberized and parts of it are stuck to his collar, and I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just something that kind of happened due to heat in the package or anything like that. So I'm sure I could probably pull this off the collar and have a little more head movement, but I don't want to risk breaking it because it is very thin and very fragile feeling. The shirt on here is beautifully done. We have the flames kind of coming up the top like a denim shirt, just ripped up over his guts and his bones coming through here. I guess there are no guts really, it's just dried up skin and bone, but beautifully shaded. Look at that paint shading. That is beautiful. That is so cool. Got the buttons going down the front, across to the back. We got his spine. Very Friday the 13th Part 7 almost, with the spine exposed there. Now, one gripe I've seen other people have with this figure, and I agree, is in the movie this was a dude in probably a latex suit, and NECA kind of went with the character concept over the actual look of the character. This is much more skinny and emaciated than the actor ever appeared on screen. It was actually a little bulky in the movie just because he had to have all this detail over a human body, but here we kind of go with almost more intent than actual execution. You got his sleeves all ripped up, more of his skin showing through. Very classic looking mummy hands here, black nails just kind of all gnarled up. This would fit in with any zombie display too. It's very zombie looking. Probably more so than Mummy because there's no bandages, and that's the iconic thing of a mummy. Coming down here, we have his hip bone sticking out with the belt over top of it, which is a great detail I love. Really well detailed Texas belt buckle, giant Texas belt buckle. Good detail on the belt in general, just the little end flipping off here. His ass visible through his pants, his jeans just torn to hell. Really crazy character design, and then some beautifully done boots looking like snakeskin boots. All this ornate detail on them. A lot of great texture and just great paint on the figure, and the one leg is constantly in this kind of walking pose, which fits the character. For articulation, as I mentioned, not heavily articulated. The head can swivel side to side, but mine, because of that hair, will normally just kind of move itself straight back to the center. We have a pin socket shoulder, so you can go forward and back and out to the side. Now, these old NECA shoulders were notoriously fragile, and it's a very, very small joint, so I'd be very careful with this. He has a cut joint at both elbows, so you can just kind of rotate the hands around a little bit. Obviously, the sculpting kind of lines up in a certain way. You can kind of line up the rips at the elbows and really make it more continuous looking, which I think is actually kind of weird because it kind of puts his arms off to the side, but not like it's that noticeable of a weirdness going on, so you can kind of pose him how you want. He does have a swivel cut joint at the wrist, nothing in the waist, of course, because of all this detail there, nothing in the legs, and then he does have a slight rotation above the boot. But because of the way he has to stand, he doesn't stand too well on his own anyway. You kind of just have to line it up with what the base wants and just go for it. And just because I don't have a Sebastian Haff figure to compare him to, here he is next to Bruce Campbell in a more iconic role of Ash from Evil Dead. This is the more recent NECA figure from a few years back, but these two look fine together. And reviewing this figure, though, really makes me want to go back and find that Sebastian Haff figure. I don't know what kind of prices it's going to go for, and I'm kind of scared to look, but I am definitely kind of wanting to complete this set now. So overall, if you haven't gotten that impression from this review already, I absolutely love this figure. Yeah, it's older NECA, and it doesn't have the articulation that modern stuff does, and that sucks in a way, but this is a figure that actually kind of transcends needing that articulation, just because of the amount of detail they were able to cram into the sculpt. I don't care there's no waist joint, because that hip sticking out from under his belt is just beautifully detailed. I don't care that he can't really move his arms because he's a mummy. He's stiff anyway. And I know this is a little hypocritical because I'm sure I've criticized figures who are similar to this, but it all just kind of comes down to this weird case-by-case basis, and I just don't mind. I really don't mind here. So I'm gonna give this a pretty strong recommend. Now, obviously this figure isn't for everybody. The movie is, as I said before, a very cult movie, but I love it. I am a huge fan of it. Just phenomenal. If you haven't checked it out, I would highly recommend the movie as well. But if you're a fan, definitely try to track down this figure. I don't think it was one of the best sellers for NECA, so you might actually be able to get it pretty inexpensively, but glad I have it. Glad I got it when it was at a normal price. And yeah, really, pulling this guy off of my shelf and reviewing him has really reignited my love of this figure. It's just absolutely beautiful, and I can't say enough good things about it. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, it's been our Outside the Box Reviews. Stay tuned for more to come. Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look. I don't know what line this figure's from.